Juan moving back to Atlanta, and that's how I got installed when he came back, moved back to Atlanta.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, see it all ties in. All right, wonderful. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record, the People's Podcast. This afternoon, we have a very illustrious guest all the way in Savannah, Georgia. First of all, assalamu alaikum, brother Jamie.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Thank you. I want to make sure that I start off by thanking you and your family on behalf of myself and my family. My mother told me to make sure I stress about your wife, and my sisters was like, "Oh, we love his wife," and of course myself and Rashad and my father admire you very much. The first thing I want to know is, when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Well, first of all, I want to say, please return the greetings to your father and your mother, and may Allah continue to strengthen your mother in her struggle to be made whole once again.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Thank you.
But my first, you asked me when I first heard the teachings.
Yes, sir.
I was actually on the campus at Savannah State College. I was a student there when I first came in contact with any kind of consciousness. It wasn't necessarily teachings, but there was a group on Savannah State's campus that called themselves ADAM, Association of the Original Man. And they were holding a meeting there on campus. I got to the meeting late, so I heard a little bit of consciousness there. And there was also a friend of my brother Troy. He was working a job, and he had a friend that was a part of the Nuwabian Nation under Dr. Malachi Z. York.
Yes, sir.
He gave my brother a book entitled Visions for Black Men by Dr. Naeem Akbar. So I read that book, I ate it up. Then he later gave him a tape of Brother Khalid entitled The Goddamn White Man.
Okay. Yes.
I was like Biggie Small said in his song, I let my tape rock until my tape pop, I just soaked it all up. And right around that time, I had a good friend of mine, a football buddy, that we were good friends. We were hanging partners. I played, we were both defensive backs.
Okay.
Safety, and I played cornerback. So we'd be next to each other on the field. And at that time, he was becoming a Mason. He was joining the Masonic Order. And we were in his room one night, maybe about 10 of us. We sitting there having, it was college night. It was a Thursday night. And
yes, sir.
You know what college boys do on college night? We was having a little party.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And somebody put in a VHS tape of Minister Farrakhan. It's the first time I ever heard the minister speak. And he literally blew my mind. I don't exactly know the name of the tape, but I was sitting there and I was looking around the room, and I saw that what the ministers was saying wasn't affecting everybody like it was affecting me. He literally blew my high, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I said, who is this man? Do you hear what he's saying? They were like, yeah. My partner, he was like, yeah, that's Minister Farrakhan. So from then on, I got my hands on the autobiography of Malcolm X. I read that, and it was so revolutionary between all of those things. And my partner, being of the Masonic Order, he would tell me things like, he would say, Jamie, you in the dark and I'm in the light. And I was like, well, brother, if I'm your partner, enlighten me, help me out, man, hook a brother up,
Yes, sir.
And he would say things, oh, well, you got to ride the goat. And,
yeah.
I grew up in the country, brother, and I wasn't about to ride no goat. I didn't know what it meant, but I know I wasn't about to get on no goat. But anyway, I started doing a little dibbling and dabbling. I found out that the Masonic Order came from Islam.
Yes, sir.
So from that point, I was on a quest for trying to learn more and trying to find out where the mosque was. And I remember we would go out in the city looking for the brothers selling the Final Call newspaper. And I actually bought my first Final Call newspaper from Brother Juan.
Okay.
Yes, I still have that paper too. I think it's from 1992. So that's when I first actually heard the teachings. But backing up prior to that, my oldest brother, sometime, well, I think I was still in high school then, he had mentioned Elijah Muhammad to me. And these were his words. He said that Elijah Muhammad had to have been crazy because he said he met with God. And he said he was from Sandersville, Georgia. How could a man from Sandersville, Georgia meet with God? And I thought to myself, I said, wow, he must have been crazy. From Sandersville, and he met God. But at the same time, I was intrigued by that. So I went over to the bookshelf and I got an encyclopedia and I looked up Elijah Muhammad. And sure enough, it had a write-up on him, and I read it. And I was intrigued by the fact that he could be from Sandersville and make such a claim.
Yes,
because
sir. Yes.
I'm thinking, man, Sandersville, that's real country. Now we were in the country too now.
Yes, sir.
But I was intrigued by it, so I didn't write it off all the way. I knew it was enough there to look into this man, and I realized he was no longer there. So that began my quest to learn more about the minister. And of course, Public Enemy during that time, you know, when that video came out, Fight the Power.
Yes, sir.
You probably too young to remember that. You go back and you look at the Public Enemy video, they have the FOI there in New York doing crowd control. Everybody has on the red bow ties. And I'm like, who are these brothers? And of course, Chuck D said Farrakhan is a prophet that I think you ought to listen to. I heard him say it, but when I had the opportunity to really delve into the teachings, then it began to lure me in.
Praise be to Allah. Excellent. Thank you. And thank you very much for your transparency and great story. I have more questions for you. Sister Teresa, walaikum salam. Sister Robin Tippin, walaikum salam, man. Peace. Mimi, walaikum salam. Sister, these people give you the greetings. Walaikum salam, bro. Victor, I'm reaching out to you very soon, sir. And Brother Charles says, he's on deck from Dallas, Texas. Thank you very much, and extend the greetings to you as well, Brother Minister. My next question is, sir, why did you accept it?
Oh, well, Brother Josh, I knew that there was more to life than getting a good education, getting a good job, go to work, go home, eat your good dinner, read a newspaper, go to sleep, and do it all over. I just knew it was, I had so many answers.
Yes, sir.
I mean, so many questions in my head of the mysteries of life. And I just knew, in fact, Brother Josh, I thought I would die at a very young age because I just couldn't see the future. I couldn't see myself growing old in the manner I was living. Not that it was so bad, but I didn't have any vision whatsoever, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And when I finally found the mosque, that Wednesday night, the first night I went to the mosque was on a Wednesday night, I was just extremely disappointed with my life. And I showed up to the mosque, and at that time, the mighty Prince was the minister.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Prince, yes, sir. But he did not show up. So the brother had to stand in for Brother Prince. His name was Brother Weldon Muhammad. So Brother Weldon got up and taught that night. It must have been about 5 or 6 of us in the building. And I hang on to every word that Brother Weldon was saying. And he came off the rostrum. He didn't feel so good about it, but I loved it, you know. And I started going out on Sundays. At that particular time, the mosque meeting was at 2:00. So I still had one foot in the world. You know, I could still go out and party on Saturday night and still be at the mosque by 2:00 on Sunday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I would go out, and Brother Prince, I remember after one meeting, I never really remember doing the acceptance. I remember at the meeting, I was talking to Brother Prince, and he said, he made mention of having something for me to study. And I told him, I said, oh, brother, I've been doing plenty of studying. He said, okay, well, I'm going to give you something to study. But I didn't know that was the orientation packet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So he gave it to me, and lo and behold, I'm in the Monday night orientation processing, and that's how it began. But I never really remember raising my hand and saying I wanted to join, you know.
Yes, sir.
I just put the hook in my mouth, and I've been here ever since.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. Okay, my next question is, how did your parents feel about you accepting the teachings?
Well, I guess it might have been some mixed emotions because my parents, they actually used to study with the Muslims in the 60s. Now,
Mm.
they never joined, but there was a Muslim minister here by the name of Samuel X in the 60s in Savannah. He would come by and talk with my parents, but they never did join the Nation of Islam. But I guess Brother Samuel planted the seed. So,
Yeah.
so I guess they were good on some aspects, and then some, because I was still living at home with my parents when I accepted teachings, so the diet changes and
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
going out studying all the time, and so that they did think there was a unusual change taking place in their child.
Great. Praise be to Allah. I'm glad it worked out. Walaikum salam to the Felicia sends the greetings. So Robin says interesting. Brother Cameron, uh, Joshua Copeland says all praises to Allah. I know that in May 1975, Savannah State University president proclaimed Honorable Elijah Muhammad's Day. I think that maybe Minister Rahman spoke in 1972 on the campus in the 80s. Praise be to Allah. Boom. Yes, sir. Okay, my next question for you is who trained you once you came into Mod?
Oh wow. Well, I would certainly have to say Brother Prince had a huge hand in that. At that time, my captain was a very capable brother by the name of Melvin Muhammad, and we were all very young. We must have had about a strong 9 soldiers, and it would balloon up to maybe 11 to 15 in the ranks, and we were all in our early 20s. And Brother Melvin was as well, but Brother Melvin was he was a tight wound soldier, and at that time, Brother Curtis was a captain in the southern region.
Okay, okay.
We were tightly wound, and when I came in Savannah, Savannah was in the Final Call newspaper for being the most improved study group for at least a year. So we were some young paper hawks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I remember we were doing 1,100 final calls consistently when I came in. We went all the way up to 1,800. One issue, Brother Captain Curtis sent us an extra 500, so we were at 2,300 final calls. But what we did, Brother Josh, is we took the 2,300 final calls out into the field and sold every last one of them. That's how hawkish we were.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
A little older now and knees hurt.
Yes, sir. Okay, I'm coming to another question, but I want to ask you back to your football playing defensive back. I played running back. What were some of the defensive backs that you liked back then, and who are some of them that you like now?
Oh man, of course, Deione Sanders.
Prime
I
time.
had the pleasure of seeing Prime Time in person. We had a game against, I believe it was Morris Brown. It was either Morris Brown or Clark. We were playing in the Georgia Dome, and the San Francisco 49ers had to play the Falcons that Sunday. And when we were going in to play our game, they were finishing up their practice. So we had the opportunity to see Deione Sanders, Charles Mann, Jerry Rice, Steve Young, because we were in the same locker room. So we had to wait for them to leave. Yeah, so Prime Time was the guy back then.
Yes, sir.
Of course, Ronnie Lott. We saw Ken Norton Jr. I know you're probably too young to know these guys, but Prime Time is surprisingly very skinny too, as was Jerry Rice, very skinny. But Prime Time might have been a little bit taller than me, but very slim.
Yes, sir. And what about now? Are there any defensive backs that you like now? Or?
Well, I like they talk so much these days instead of playing, but I like Jalen Ramsey.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I like Marcus Peters. So those are the two I would name.
Okay, yes, sir. I just wanted to also give a special shout out to somewhere real close to you with that 912 area code. Darius Slay is from Brunswick, and
is that right?
Yes, sir. He's straight from Brunswick. Oh, wow. Yeah, so he's doing good. So I see him on Madden. I'm like, hey, Brunswick. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Also, how was it like for you meeting the Most Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan for the first time?
Oh wow, it was awesome. I can honestly say that was probably the first and only time that I had a meeting like that. I've had the opportunity to shake the minister's hand several times, but to meet him when he came here to Savannah, I was able to sit down and have dinner with him. So that was a beautiful experience. I remember all of the interactions with the minister, but him coming to Savannah, that's like a blur. It was really like, brother, I've never worked so hard before in my life. You know, when I was actually pulling up to work on a Tuesday at 12 noon and my cell phone rang, I got a call. It was a Chicago number. It's Sister Claudette on the other line. So she's giving me all these instructions. Now, mind you, I think I'm getting ready to go to work. She gave me so many instructions. I said, well, I guess I'm going to be off today. And the minister was coming in on a Friday evening. My whole work was busted. I didn't go to work anymore until after the minister left. And I think it was a week after he left, because after he left, I was so tired, I got sick for a whole week. So I just had to lay in the bed for like a week and do nothing. But it was a beautiful experience. I remember all the help that you all gave us from Atlanta. I was so glad that you all were able to come down, Brother Miko, and came down in advance. And we had to, we just went through it all. We dotted every I and crossed every T. And surprisingly, when the minister came, he didn't have a whole lot of security with him. He only had 5 brothers from the E team that came with him. 2 came in advance, and it was 2 traveling with him, and Brother Don drove in because he was over in South Carolina. He had, it was a total of 5 traveling on the plane, but 2 actual E team members, and Reverend Al Sampson was with him. Lewis Jr. made that trip, and Wali, Brother Sultan, and Brother Shah were all traveling with the minister on the plane. Brother Emil and Brother Hamza came in advance. Beautiful, the most I ever learned, brother, in 2 days in the Nation of Islam in terms of security, and the most I ever learned. I remember when the minister came off the airplane, and it was myself, your father, Brother Miko, and I think Brother Marcus, who was the captain at that time, that went down to the gate to meet them. And as soon as the minister came off the plane, he saw your dad, and he just lit up, and he said, Sharif. That's all he said, And I got an idea when he said that, and the way the minister lit up, how much he actually loved your father, I just thought that was beautiful. But when I met the minister, he came in to the hotel room, and we had the nicest hotel room in the entire city for the minister. I went to several hotels looking for, I was like, nah, that ain't gonna cut it. But we found the baddest hotel room in the city of Savannah. So when he went up to his room, I got a call, and they said, we're gonna have dinner. The minister is inviting you up. So when I go in, he's sitting in the chair, and he gave me the greetings, and he said, brother, I will shake your hand, but I just washed mine. And he said, would you like to have something to eat? And I'm fumbling over my words, and he said, go wash your hands. So I went to wash my hands, and he was actually, we did not host the minister. He was brought to Savannah by Gabio, Georgia Black elected officials. Therefore, we were not able to publicize it, and he spoke again on Savannah State's campus on a couple of occasions. So we were sitting there at the table, the minister, I was so glad your father was there. The minister was at the head of the table, and your father next to him. I'm next to your father. I really didn't even want to eat. I wanted to get out of there because, and he started asking questions. I'm like, oh my God. He asked the question, how many Black elected officials are there in Georgia? I had no clue. I tried to go through some of the questions I thought he might ask, but he didn't ask any of those questions I went through. So, but your dad knew, and your dad answered, and I was like, whew. And the only thing I really remember, it was kind of like small talk, and I was just kind of trying to stay out of the way, let your dad handle it. But he did say to Reverend Al, he said about me, he said, Reverend Al, he reminds me of our people in West Africa. He's talking about my features. And he told Reverend Al, he said, Reverend Al, look into his face. Doesn't he remind you of our people in West Africa? And Reverend Al said, yes, sir, Brother Minister. And then the minister said, Brother Jamie, our beautiful minister in Savannah, Georgia, Oh, I just melted, brother. I just melted, brother Josh. I was like, wow. But it was wonderful. The brothers on the E team, I have all the respect in the world for them. It was 5 of them, brother, and along with you all's help, they had it locked down. We trying to serve them with the Southern hospitality, and brother need me to carry your bag. It was like, nah, brother. Because brother Hamza, I named him the Edge.
Yes,
He was very edgy, in a good way though. But I understand he didn't know us. But brother, and when we got to the hotel, they immediately went to work. Immediately. I've never seen anything like. We went through the hotel from top to bottom, running routes. It was work, brother. We didn't sleep. But that was a beautiful time to get the opportunity to have dinner with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and to work with the E team.
Praise be to Allah. It was a great time to see you with the minister, and that was a fun detail for us as well because we was young trying to prove ourselves, and the fact that the E team came so light, we got to get a little some shine that day, so it was good. It was good.
Brother Josh, I don't know if you remember or not when the minister was leaving out and we walked past TSA about 30 deep. I don't know if you remember that or not, but we were escorting the minister back to the airplane, and they had the security checkpoint. They searched all of those that were traveling with the minister, but all of the people that were on security did not get searched. So when we were walking towards the gate, TSA was trying to stop us, and we were like 30 strong, and we walked right past TSA when they were trying to stop us, and walked the minister all the way to the gate.
Praise be to Allah.
And I heard TSA got in trouble after that, but they were not about to stop the FOI from escorting the minister to that gate, man.
Hey, excellent. Yes, sir. My next question is, when did you go from seeing the Most Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan maybe as a speaker or an activist to someone who is divinely guided?
That's a good question. Well, to be honest with you, Josh, I think I've always looked at him in that manner because I was always yearning for something more than I was getting in terms of faith or religion. So when I heard the minister speak, I think it was almost immediate. It went right to me. Now, I didn't join immediately when I heard it, but I knew it was something special about this man.
Yes, sir.
And it's a ever revealing thing. The more I watch him, even if I go back and watch older videos of the minister, I can see how Allah had his hands on him way back when. So I would say it was an immediate thing. I knew before I even joined, I knew this is what I want to do. When I would go out looking for those Final Call newspapers, I knew I was going to be a member of the Nation of Islam.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, wonderful. My next question is, being in Savannah, Georgia, in the South, has there ever been a time where you may have faced fear, or maybe you've had to face, death threats because of you standing up, being a minister, teaching the word of God in the South? If so, how did you overcome that?
If there were any threats on my life, I didn't know about them. But we faced some things. Of course, being in the hood, there's always gonna be some stuff, always, brother. I remember being out one Sunday morning. Actually, we out soldiering, trying to get guests out. The brother pulls out a 10-inch blade, and I'm very close to him.
Yeah.
He wasn't. I'm not sure what the brother's agenda was, but I think he was just trying to let us know he was down. He didn't really, it wasn't like he was down with us, but he pulls out a 10-inch blade, and I remember soldiering and, this little Caucasian white boy cursing us out. And I remember a lot of confrontations, but never a time, but I'd say I've been in fear or ever had a real threat on my life. Maybe I was too crazy to know it was.
Praise be to Allah. What was your how was it leading up to the Million Man March, and how did the Million Man March impact you?
Wow, brother, that was huge. Several reasons, because during the Million Man March, I was not yet a member of the Nation of Islam. I did not get my X until 96. So I was working, I just started a job. I was working in what is Dillard's now, department store. And I'm standing back there in the house where his department is. This young brother walks through. He didn't know me from Adam. He just saw a black brother and he came over to me. He said, "Hey man, you should come to the Million Man March." And I was like, "Bro, I want to go, man." But I had no connection to the mosque. And my dilemma was the march was on a Monday. I had to work on that Tuesday at 12 noon. So I didn't make it to the march, but what I did do is I took the Monday off. I stayed home. I watched it on C-SPAN. I recorded it. I fasted that day. But that's one of my greatest regrets in my life, that I did not make it to the Million Man March, you know. So, but that compelled me to go and get my X after the fact. So I got registered October 31st, 1996.
Okay, yes, sir. How did you become the minister?
Oh wow. Well, I remember sitting in FY class and they were asking all the brothers what they aspire to be in the Nation of Islam, and everybody said captain. So I was just trying to be different, brother, than everybody else, and I said minister. You know, not really seeking a position, but of course, you know, in the Nation of Islam, if you're willing to work, you're gonna get a spot. They're gonna find something for you to do. So, as I said, Brother Juan was the minister here, and I was his assistant. So when he decided he was going to move back to Atlanta, then Brother Ray was the regional minister at that time. So I was next man up. So Brother Ray came in and he installed me to be the minister. And at that time, brother, I had just gotten married. I think I'd been married maybe 4 months around that time. I just got married and I just got laid off from my job, brother.
Oh, no.
Yes, sir. And with a baby on the way, you know, so all this controversy going on in my life, and I'm like, wow. So I remember brother asked me, well, how are your finances? And I'm like, horrible at this point. I just got laid off, but I didn't cower down. I accepted the role. We've been here struggling with it ever since.
Praise be to Allah. Okay. Well, I want to and thank you, brother. Sister says, praise be to Allah. Brother Eric says, I'm with Islam, sir. With Islam to you all. Thank you. Beautiful testimony, beautiful experience. Praise be to Allah. Excellent. My next, I have a brief podcast commercial. Supreme Men's Clothing. These are our sponsors. Thank you. St. Louis, Missouri, 10835 West Florissant Avenue. 63136-314-528-555 is the phone number. Designersofcomposers.com. Khalik's Boutique on Instagram. Also, Sister Tia Binos Muhammad out of New Orleans, or she's out of St. Louis, but lives in New Orleans. She has a book. She has something called Raising Black Millionaires. Oh, these are cards. Raising Black Millionaire cards for children, where it teaches you the principles of finances and economics. Thank you for your for you all sponsorship. Also, my brother Rashad has a video production called Street Premiere, where he's working on editing films and TVs, and he's just working on a lot of stuff. He has a new drone camera that he keeps telling me about constantly. He's very excited about going to work. So if you all need anything, please reach out to him. My sister Miriam has a coloring book and a children's book called ABC I Love Me. It is on Amazon. Thank you, Mimi, for always supporting. My second book is Cleopatra. It is on Amazon. Thank you all for everyone who has supported. And last but not least, my father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, on AbdulSharifMuhammad.com. Thank you, Dad, for being supportive. If you all have a business and would like to support the People's Podcast, J Imagination on Cash App, I thank you all for your support. It's because of you that I'm able to keep going. Okay, back to you, Brother Minister. Speaking of you not cowering down and when the trial, the finances hit you, what has been your greatest trial in your tenure in the Nation of Islam, and how have you overcome that?
My greatest trial?
Yes, sir.
Another good question. I don't think I've really had a trial that is related. Or you talking about a personal trial or something that's related?
Personal trial.
Okay. Well, I don't know. That's a tough question for me, brother, because I mean we have so many trials. But it's the way I think I approach trial.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes it takes us a little time to become aware that we are in a trial.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then once we realize what it is, then we can marshal up our forces and stand against it. But I don't know, brother. I think maybe trying to is a brother out of Albany. I'm gonna quote him. I never heard him say this. Brother Marcus used to say this about brother Theodore.
Mm.
One of the things brother Theodore used to say is that if we all could believe at the same time, you know.
Mm.
So trying to galvanize the believers come in and work together at the same time,
Yes, sir. Yes,
because
sir.
when I'm up, you down, or
Yes,
you up, I'm down.
yes, sir.
So we seem to have peaks and valleys in this thing and waves and how we're able to come together and because we've done some great work in the city of Savannah. We had some really high highs
Yes,
and
sir.
then we had some real low lows.
Mm.
I think that's what it's all relative to when knowing that the responsibility rests on you.
Mm.
And I tell believers all the time, we have to treat this mission as if it depends on us. Because guess what? It does,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And when something goes wrong in the city, all of it is your father is going to call me first.
Yes, sir.
He ain't worried about nobody. He's going to call Brother Jamie.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's probably the biggest trial, but it's a welcome trial. I see the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan don't make no excuses. And, he doesn't accept any excuses.
That's right. That's right.
Neither does your father. So,
Yes, sir.
so we have to train to be like that. And one of the things with me, brother Josh, I grew up in the house with my father, who is a very stern black man. So I didn't have a problem submitting to another black man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Playing football at Savannah State College under black coaches. Well, first of all, in high school, all the coaches were white. I grew up in a small town outside of Savannah. But when I got to Savannah State and all the coaches were black, and they were just black men, your everyday average black man. So I didn't have a problem submitting to black men because one, growing up with my father, who was a taskmaster,
Yes, sir.
not in a bad way, but in a good way. And
Yes, sir.
my coaches in college, they were very harsh. So when I got to the Nation of Islam, the regiment was something that I was accustomed to. I didn't have a problem submitting to black men. I didn't have a problem being in ranks and drilling. I knew that I was being forged into something that we all could be pleased with after we get to the finished product, or at least a little bit better than we were. So I didn't have a problem submitting to black men whatsoever. So I felt like that was some preparation for me. So that was not a trial. That's a trial for a lot of people, but it was never a trial for me. To this day, I still love to drill.
Okay, Rich Jamie, I know that.
Yes, sir. And I call a little cadence every now and then. Let me little DI and then FOI. Yes, sir. And I still go to FOI class. I like to look at myself as a lifer, brother.
Yes, sir.
I want to half do this thing. I want to be a lifer. So when I joined, I committed. I committed 100%. So any trial, we welcome it. We take it on.
Wow, beautiful. Brother Robin said, "Assalamu alaikum." He said, "Minister Jamie, one of the realest. Praise be to Allah." Brother Minister, what has been your greatest joy in your tenure in the Nation of Islam?
Oh, wow. Well, I think, brother, just being several things. Being a family man, that has been a great joy. Whenever you can go against the grain in this world, brother, and defy what this world try and makes black men of, that's a joy to me. That's a joy to me. I ain't nobody's nigga.
Yes, sir.
I'm just not. I'm
Yes, sir.
not your dog. No, I'm a new black man,
Yes,
and I
sir.
don't
Yes,
have
sir.
no problem telling nobody that Farrakhan is my spiritual father. You know, although my biological father is still alive, who I keep in contact with, still married to my mom. You know, we still go there for the barbecue and all that. You know, but the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan is my spiritual father. You know, so it gives me great joy when people say that, that's a stand-up guy. That's a
Mm.
good brother right there. Oh, I know Brother Muhammad, and he gonna do you right, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They say I'm a solid brother, and that gives me joy. And I always tell them, brother, I'm striving, you know, I'm striving. So that gives me great joy. And being a family man, I got two beautiful daughters, and of course, you all know my wife because she comes from number 15,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
I got the third degree, brother, when I was trying to court Sister Logan. Was telling me I got to move to Atlanta. You know, they had me under the gun, brother Josh.
Okay. Well, speaking of that, what advice would you give to future husbands?
Oh wow. Well, we have to, as men, when we get to the point where it's time to take on a wife, we got to dig in our spiritual bag, brother,
Yes, sir.
and we have to follow the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Not your homeboy, not your type man. We
Yes, sir.
have to follow the guidance of the minister because the woman is not like the man. We have to exercise patience. What we would do is not going to necessarily be her way. So we got to be patient. Then we have to choose wisely. We have to be honest with ourselves on what we are able to live with and what we are not able to live with. We just got to be honest, brother. We have to have an honest conversation and not be all goo-goo-eyed. And, you know, we just have to be real with it. Because if you're talking about getting married, it's a lifelong commitment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
And
sir.
if you want to be successful at it, brother, it's going to take work. And just because you fall down here, there, or she falls down, that doesn't mean it's over. You just get up and continue to work on it. So I'm very pleased that my wife has the same spirit. We ain't perfect, but we continue to work. We
Yes, sir.
continue to work. And now we've been married for 20 years.
Oh, wow, wow, wow.
Married for
Beautiful.
20 years. Praise be to Allah. You know, we defied what the statistics say. You know, a lot of people don't make it past 6 months.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So 20 years later, we're still here.
Beautiful. Okay. What advice would you give to future fathers?
Oh wow, same thing. Be patient, and we have to keep parenting. Just because you tell a child something one time, that doesn't mean that that's over.
Mm,
You may have to revisit the same thing at a later date.
mm.
But Josh, I'm 47 years old, brother, and my mother is still parenting me at 47.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes I might remind her, Mom, look, she said, well, Jamie, no matter how old you get, son, I'll always be your mother.
Mm, mm.
So she's still checking up on me. Boy, you eating? You know, you looking mighty skinny, when I stop fasting. So we have to be patient with our children. I remember Minister Ava saying that children are divine little beings. They're gods, and we're not raising them to be anything less than that.
That's right.
So we don't want to crush them in their godship. I remember the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said we have to entreat our children.
Mm, mm.
Look that up, brother. But we have to entice them and show the way of Islam being profitable for them in their lives. They want to know how they can use their Islam.
Yes, sir.
Why is it important for me to wear this garment? Why is it important for me to dress modestly? So I keep it real with my 18-year-old daughter,
Mm,
who is a college student. And you have to. If you want men to respect you, it's not going to be your name, Muhammad, that's going to garner respect.
mm,
It's
mm.
going to be how you display your Islam. So if you want the respect, then you have to exude that. You have to express that in the way that you dress, in the way that you carry yourself. Now, don't call me and the brothers out there to break somebody's arm off when you've been wrong now.
Mm, mm, mm.
So we have to be patient with our children and realize that this is a very wicked world that we live in.
Yes, sir.
And our children are going to be susceptible to some of the lures that are in this world, but we don't stop parenting as mothers and fathers when they fall off the wagon. We don't stop parenting. And when we correct our children, we have to let our children know that we still love them even after the correction or the chastisement. Our children need to know that we still love them, you know?
Praise be to Allah. Excellent. And people saying praises to Allah in the comments. Excellent facts in the comments. Wonderful. I can't believe your daughter is in college. That's stripped out, whatever. But my next question is, what do you do for fun?
Oh, wow. Well, I like to work out. I do a whole lot, Brother Josh. Love to eat. Always kind of been a loner, so it's not much going on, brother. I'm a mosque guy. You know, I like to be in the mosque. You know, I've had the longest break in service I had was 2 weeks, and that's when I got married. My wife and I, we went and spent a week in Jamaica, and when I came back home, took another week off, then right back to the mosque, brother. That's what I know. So that's what I do. Other than trying to stay in shape, but I don't do a whole lot for fun. You know, in this world, the lines could get blurred and
Yes, sir.
things can go left real quick in this world. You know.
Yes, sir. Okay.
But speaking of not believing that my daughter is in college, you know, my wife can hardly believe that you're a young man now. My wife thinks she thinks you're like 20, brother John. I told her, I said, no, I think, you know, Josh is a grown man now. Yeah, she thinks, you know, the time runs so fast, you know, there's so much going on. And one of the reasons why I think this platform is so beautiful, brother, because it gives those of us in the Nation of Islam the opportunity to see who our brothers and our sisters are, you know.
Yes, sir.
Instead of just seeing them on posts, walking by real fast, going to do this, you know. It gives us the opportunity to delve into the lives of one another and know our brothers and our sisters. So for that, I'm grateful.
Praise be to Allah. And your wife is still parenting me during the drill competition years. I mean, she hit my phone. If you are not here in 5 minutes, I'm like, oh.
Yes, sir.
She said, every DI here at 7 o'clock, no excuse. I'm like, sister, my drill team coming late. I'm coming over here. I'm coming. I'm ready. No excuse. I get that.
That's her, brother. Yes, sir.
My next question is, what advice would you give to the next generation and future generations about being steadfast and keeping their faith, like a way to keep, you know, put 10 toes down and hold on to the, you know, to Islam?
Well, brother Josh, I don't think over the years that will change. I know that there are a lot more children in the Nation of Islam that are going off to college and getting these skills so that they can become nation builders. But they have to look at the mosque as well as the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as a launching pad and something that's never passe or retro, that we don't revisit that anymore. No, the Navy bean is still the Navy bean. You understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Message to the black man is still the manifesto of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and we will never, ever abandon that.
Yes, sir.
I don't care where you are. You might go to Mars and, you know, you talking to the people on Mars or whatever. We should never, ever abandon our foundation. It's just like the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan said, he will never take point number 12 off the back page of the Final Call newspaper. Our foundation. We don't abandon Master Farrakhan Muhammad. We don't abandon the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And certainly, we can't abandon the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan, who's still among us, still teaching and guiding us. So whatever endeavor we choose to follow in our lives, the mosque or the nation should always be our foundation that we come back to. And we use those skills, those trades, or that knowledge to build our nation of Islam. That's how we have to think. So
beautiful.
The whole ones are looking at us side-eye like, what you doing for your nation? You're an engineer, but what are you doing for your nation? You know, and rightly so, because we ain't going nowhere.
Yes, sir.
All that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan has given us throughout the years, we see it coming right back at us today.
Yes, sir.
There is no escape, brother.
Praise be to God.
Everybody got to come this way.
Absolutely. My sister Miriam says, please give your wife and children the greetings. Thank you all for your dedication to our nation. And my next question is, Brother Minister, what do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, wow. I thought about that question, Brother Josh, because I hear you answer that. Hey, just to keep it simple, brother, I just want to be remembered as a brother that helped, that stood in the gap. I remember talking to Lewis Jr. when they were here in Savannah, when the minister was here. And he asked me, he said, so brother, you're the minister here in the city. I said, no, sir, brother. I said, your father is the minister. I said, I'm just trying to hold a spot until help comes, brother. He said, what you saying? You don't want to be the minister? I said, I'm not saying that, brother. But and that's how I look at myself, Brother Josh. I will never ask a brother to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. So I just want to be a brother to help and try to keep this thing going until we got to victory, you know. Because while I may not see us in our new nation, perhaps my grandchildren will. And that's reason enough for me not to just sit back, relax, and kick my heels up and say, I'm gonna try and enjoy the rest of my life. No, that's worth working for, you know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's just what I want my legacy to be. A brother that was a believer and tried to do his best to help further our cause.
That's beautiful. I mean, it's very beautiful. Well, thank you, and thank you all for watching the People's Podcast. But Minister, every time I see you, you on your job, but you do it in a smiling, happy, joyful way. But such a serious job, and I I respect you and your family extremely well, and may Allah continue to bless you down in Savannah. I enjoyed myself when I was there, so
yes, sir.
I make a visit.
Yes, sir. It's a beautiful city.
Yes, sir. Well, love you, Brother Minister, and please extend the greetings to your family on behalf of myself and mine. And thank you all for continuing to watch People's Podcast. I'm going to put it on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and share, please.
Thank you. Love you too, beloved.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.